Welcome to the Neighborhood Pulse with Kevin Callback. The Neighborhood Pulse. You know, wherever you are in life, you never forget the neighborhood. This is the show that talks to real estate professionals all about the real estate business and how to maximize your career. Join host Kevin Callback from Realty Executive Cornerstone to learn what the Neighborhood Pulse is. Yes, welcome in. We've got today the right to bear, B-E-A-R, arms, A-R-M.
Yes. The gun show, baby.
Not the gun show, but all about arms today. Kevin Callback, welcome in, brother. How are you? Of course, our community agent.
Amen, brother. That's it. Realty Executives Cornerstone, rocking and rolling, baby. Working with managing broker Rico Connor. He's doing an amazing job.
An incredible man.
He's a powerhouse for sure. And we're starting to see he does a lot of bank properties, so foreclosures. We got an auction out there right now, so you're starting to see those come back.
Yep.
Some Fannie Mae's, Fannie Freddie homes, homepath.com. If you're looking for investment properties, there's certain places you should look and certain brokers you should connect with, and he's one of those guys. And the exciting part about that is that it's giving people more opportunity. It's starting to come into the market a little bit. People that haven't been able to afford those more expensive homes are able to maybe find a home and fix it up a little bit and have that sweat equity. So those are great opportunities. And auctions are not a bad deal.
No.
Not a bad deal. It's they talked to somebody about that today. They said, well, they're only asking $35,000. I said, well, that's an auction. That's a teaser rate. I says, it's not selling for $35,000, I guarantee you. So when you see those prices, just know that it's an auction. You're bidding up. If you've ever done eBay, then you understand, with things for a penny don't usually sell for a penny. And there is a reserve to protect their interest,
Correct.
Right? So crazy.
The first one I ever went to, I was there representing the lender. And I'd never been to one. And you go into this room and there's, it's not like, it was, all right, we're going to open the bidding at $1. $1.50, $2, $3. Ended up being purchased for $10.
There you go.
Now, I was like, what? Well, little did I know that there was the reserve. The reserve is what the bank says is going. So it was $10 over the reserve cost.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah. See, that's the trick.
I was like, wait, I could have bought that house for $20.
Yeah, that would be great.
No, not quite. Right.
Yep. And you got to be careful. They're talking $1 and not $1,000. Right. There's different signs mean different things, but because that's kind of crazy. But I start out with that today because we're talking about adjustable rate mortgages today. The ARMs, not the gun show, but the ARMs of adjustable rate mortgage
starting to make their comeback.
They are making their comeback, and so people were burned back 2007, 2008. When the market was crashing and going down and everybody got a mortgage, you get a mortgage and you get a mortgage. And so people were asking, our ARMs, do they make sense? They seem dangerous. They seem scary. And if you don't know what they are and what they do, and there's different terms, and we're going to talk about that today, is how do you protect yourself in an adjustable rate mortgage lifestyle? Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and I think the biggest comparison or the most fearful I see people now are people that have those credit cards that are at 18%, and those are variable rates based upon the prime and
they're variable. They were at 18, now they've jumped up to 23 or whatever.
So now if you have $2,000 on there, your payment instead of being $120 a month might be $220 a month.
Correct.
So those are very scary.
Yeah.
Adjustable rate mortgages on cars or on homes. Sorry, I guess you could drive your home. You can't. Yeah. You can drive your home. You can't drive your house, right?
Yeah.
But so what does that look like? So,
well, of course, I'm Kent with MSB NMLS number 1258805.
Amen.
Let's put that out there. So right now, with the rising interest rate,
right,
with the volatility of that right now,
sure,
we're trying to find a way to make homes more affordable for the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if you were pre-qualified in 2020 for a $500,000 home, that was at maybe 2 or 3%. Well, now a 30-year mortgage is on average right about 7%. Okay, so it's more than
it's, I mean, compared to
tripled. It's almost doubled,
Yeah.
or it's almost tripled.
Almost
it's more than
tripled.
doubled, almost tripled.
Right. That's for sure.
And so that $500,000 home now you can't afford anymore at
Right.
that interest rate, and maybe now you can only afford a $200,000. Now that's a big jump, and I don't have a calculator in front of me, but
Right.
but what we're trying to do is figure out how to make homes more affordable, that living more affordable for individuals. And there are things out there over the last 4 months or so that we haven't heard for quite some time, and that's a buy down. So I wanted to touch base there.
That's always a good check-in, right? Always a good check-in.
And the buy down is its own tricky self a little bit. But basically, what would happen is you have such a motivated seller that they'll pay your points or buy down your rate, and you could have what might be called a 3-2-1 buy down. So for the first year, your rate might be a 5. Then it moves up in the second year. And then in the third year, it moves back up to what it is today, 7 or whatever.
Correct.
To ease you into that house. And instead of you paying the points to buy down, the seller gives it to you as a quote unquote credit.
Credits.
Right.
Gift.
Gift.
Right.
If you will.
Sure.
And right now, there's still such a high demand for houses that's not a very beneficial thing for the seller.
It's not very popular, right?
Right. It's just not popular. What is popular are adjustable rate mortgages. And
Correct.
what you want to understand is an adjustable rate mortgage differs from a fixed rate mortgage in many ways.
Sure,
Okay?
sure, absolutely.
Most importantly, with a fixed rate mortgage, the interest rate stays the same throughout the life of the loan.
Locked in.
So if you have a fixed rate 7% mortgage for 30 years, that 7% goes all 30 years.
Right.
Right.
And it's typically what you see on a car loan, which you see on a lot of different loans, is just a fixed rate, bang.
Yeah. And with an ARM, or an adjustable rate mortgage, the interest rate changes periodically, usually in relation to an index, whether it used to be the LIBOR index, but that's gone away now. They've gotten rid of the LIBOR. So now a lot of them are SOFR, and these are just financial indexes out there to try to steer markets and things like that.
Sure.
And with that, your payment could go up and it could go down. Okay. So, how does an ARM work? It's not like, first of all, mortgage rates are not based on prime rate. And this is what we see being risen. Hey, the Fed's going to raise it 3/4.
Right.
They're going to do this. That's prime rate. It really has nothing to do with
home loans.
With home loans. Okay.
Credit cards.
Yes.
Direct. For sure.
So that could change on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
If like the last jump was a 3/4 point jump, you're going to see that and feel that in your credit card.
Right. Absolutely. It's going up. Yep.
Right.
So the mortgage rates, as we're talking about them, is kind of like the stock market. Throughout the day, it's up and down within a general small area. On occasion, you'll get a big swing one way or the other.
Yeah.
But typically, it stays pretty standard.
Yeah.
Throughout a day, but from day to day, it could change. How big of a change do you think it can? A day, a 2-day, where do you start seeing swings
with the adjustable rate mortgages?
With the rates in general.
Oh, with rates in general, you can see them go up. A half point. Usually goes by the 8, so 0.125, 0.25, 0.375. So you'll see that, and it may go from 7, and the market may be crazy, and there might be some concern, and all of a sudden it goes from 7 to 7 3/8.
Right.
You usually do not see anything over a half day to day.
Sure.
That would be very weird.
Be very that'd be volatile.
Yeah, but at the same time, you might see it go up in the morning, and by night it falls back down. so I always say the mortgage rates are like a bobber on the water.
Right.
You know,
That's
if
right.
it's wavy, you're going to see it go up and down a lot. Right
Right.
now, the water's kind of choppy.
Yeah, little choppy, little choppy. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have that, but historically, you'll see it
Right.
maybe over the course of a month make a point, which we did, right? I mean, we
Oh,
saw
yeah.
it move very quickly,
Right.
because well, that's
well,
what happened.
Exactly. Yeah, right. They
Right.
raised the rates and they raised
Yeah.
them big. It's quick.
Yeah.
It's quick.
Yeah, but the comfortable thing about the adjustable rate mortgage is that your initial rate and payment will remain in effect for a limited period of time.
Right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And that could range from 1 month to 10 years. Usually, I haven't seen any adjustable over 10.
No.
Right.
Yeah, not either.
So what does that mean? So let's say you have we'll just say a 7-1 arm.
Sounds
Okay?
good. Fair.
The 7, the first number, is the number of years that your rate is locked. If it's a 3, it's only going to be locked for 3 years.
3 years. Yep.
If it's a 1, it's only going to be locked for 1 year. If it's 10, you're going to be locked in for 10 years.
Right.
Okay. And these adjustable rate mortgages amortize for 30 years. So it's not like a short-term 15-year loan or a 10-year loan. It's going to be amortized out over 30 years. So you can take a look and say, okay, usually with the adjustable rate mortgages, they're going to be lower. So if right now the average is 7 for a fixed rate, it may come in at, at 6.5 or 6. Right. Depending on what index you're judging it off of. And so that's where now housing becomes more affordable, because I can get you into a quote unquote what we would consider a short-term loan with a amortization of 30 years, to where, hey, by the end of that 7 years, you're going to want to take a look at refinancing, perhaps, depending. And you're good to go. Now, after that 7 years, then you have a number after that, and that is the adjustable period. Okay.
Yep.
So, most ARMs, the interest rate, monthly payment change every month, quarter, year, 3 years, or 5 years. The period between rate changes is called the adjustment period.
Sure.
For example, a loan with an adjustment period of 1 year is called a 1-year ARM. And the interest rate and payment can change once every year. A loan with a 3-year adjustable period is called a 3-year ARM. Okay.
So if you get a 10-1,
Yep.
right? So you have a 10-year rate adjustment period. It's a 30-year mortgage with a 10-year where your rate can go up or down, adjust. And a 10-1 means every year, is it on the anniversary date that it's going to change? It could change, right?
Right, on the anniversary. So the 10 years, you're locked in for 10 years.
Right.
Your payment, if you got that 6%, it's going to be 6% for 10 years. On the 11th year, that's your adjustment on the anniversary. And 10-1 means it's just once a year is when it'll change. It won't necessarily change monthly.
Right.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Now
that could be a heart stroke.
Yeah. Now the odd thing is, depending on how it's written and the type is, you might have a maximum movement of 5 points. Okay. So even though it can only adjust once a year, if all of a sudden in that 11th year interest rates are 11, you're going to go from that 6 up to 11 because it can adjust a maximum of 5 points.
Right. So yeah.
But again, if you have that and it drops 5 points, it'll also decrease. That's the adjustable piece. So it doesn't just adjust up; it can adjust down,
which is good.
Which is good.
And we've seen some of that from pre-COVID.
Yes.
Is people who had variable rates were kind of like, oh boy, what are we going to do?
Yes.
And they started coming down. Wow, what a blessing, right?
Yes. And so, but the caveat is there's a floor, so it can only drop so far.
True.
So if you're at a 6 and interest rates drop 5 points, your adjustable rate mortgage might have a floor of 2.75, let's say.
Yep.
So even if it drops 5, you're not going below that 2.75.
Right. Yep. So they set a minimum and they set a maximum.
That's right.
Based in between there. So somewhere in between there is where you're going to wind up at the end of the day.
And typically what you'll see is the maximum is 18%. They just write that in there because they hope it never gets there.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But for the life of it, you know, that maximum adjustment. So for the life of it, it may be if you have a lifetime cap of 5 points, well, if it goes up from 11 the next year, but you've already moved 5 points, you're there at 11.
Right.
It doesn't move again.
Right.
Okay. But let's say you go from a 6 to a 7, and then in the next year, year 12 on your anniversary date, it goes back to that 12. You could jump up again.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So
absolutely.
you have a maximum move in each one, depending on how it's written. And I'm just using 5 years as an example, or 5 points as an example, is it could jump or lower 5 points, and that would be your maximum swing.
Right.
Right. So if it goes from, you know, gets up to 12 and then it drops 5 points, well, now you go from 12 to 5. So you're back at the 7.
Right.
Right.
There you go. And at some point you can always refi. We've been hearing the term right now. It seems like the phrase of the day is, you know, marry the house and date the rate.
Date the rate.
Right. You know, so buy the house that you love, you know, get a rate, and that rate can be locked in or changed at any given time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To refi one of those or to lock in, what would that process look like? Would it be a refinance, just a total refinance? Or could they say, hey, you know what, at year 10, 11, can I lock it in at 11 and go from there?
Yeah, there are streamlined refinances. There are products that you can absolutely do, and it depends on the lender and the program.
Right.
And if you're with that lender and you're like, man, I'm, you know, all my indicators are thinking it's going to go higher, and I want to lock it in here. Great. They may offer you what's called a streamlined refinance, where you don't put any money into it, but it locks in that rate.
Right.
You know, and that's going to carry it out. You know,
sure.
Basically, your cost may be $100 to you know, make sure it gets recorded properly.
Right. They're going to want to rerun your credit and things because
make sure you're still creditworthy.
Things change.
Yeah.
Things change. So yeah, you want to make sure they're creditworthy for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of pros and cons to having an adjustable rate mortgage. Obviously, your rate can fluctuate. The con of that being it could go higher.
Yeah.
Where the pro is it could come down. It's having that mindset, and some people don't want surprises. They want, you know what? I don't care if it's 8%. I just want to lock in, and I want to know what my payment is for the next 30 years.
Yeah.
So the average swing for people to buy homes is somewhere between 3 and 6 years. People are selling and moving. So if you have a 7-1 arm, you're going to be moved by that 5, 6, 7. You know, and if you know for sure, you're like, hey, my kids are in high school. As soon as they graduate, we're out of here. That might make sense for families.
Yeah.
You know, is get your payment down initially, write it out that 5, 6 years, sell it, and move on to your new home.
Yeah.
At that point, it wouldn't matter what your rate is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So they're scary because right now what we hear is rates are going up, and people are very, very used to my credit card variable rate that floats on a monthly basis. And
scary.
Mortgages, they read your paperwork, but most adjustable rates don't do that, right?
Correct.
So, you know, again, the first number tells you how long the fixed interest period is, and then the second number tells you how often the rate will adjust after the initial period.
Yep.
Okay, so if you have like a 5-1 arm or a 3-1 arm,
mm-hmm.
That one means it's only going to adjust once a year on your anniversary date.
Right.
Okay. The anniversary date would be the date you close the loan. If you have a 7/6 arm,
Ooh, those are yeah.
okay,
That takes a little more, right? A little more
right.
strength.
right. So that means what? If the second one means tells you how often the rate will adjust.
That's 6 years, right?
No. That's
We
6
wish,
months,
right?
right? So
Yeah.
so now they're saying, hey, we're only going to use the index, a 6-month index instead of a 1-year index. And so, hey, on your anniversary date on January 1, when you close this loan,
Yep.
it could adjust. Well, then on July 1st, 6 months later,
Right.
it could adjust again on a
Absolutely.
on a 7/6.
Yeah, that 6
Right.
is a scary one because every 6 months, you have to a little more patience for that. You have to a little more uh, ability to
Right.
adjust see those changes and those
Right.
adjustments. Be prepared for that.
So when Alice and I bought our first home,
Mhm.
when we bought our first home back in 2003, this was when it was the Wild West, and hey, can you fog a mirror? You don't need money down. Here you go. Hallelujah.
Right.
You got a house, right?
Right. Absolutely.
And so we were at the beginning end of the downfall of the cause for the pop back in 2008, 2009, 2010. And we had a 3-1 arm. Okay. Because we didn't have the best credit in the world, and
Sure.
a fixed rate and we weren't making a lot of income. So our debt to income ratios just were not strong, Kevin. So we went with a 3-1 arm. And that means that, hey, it's going to be locked in for the first 3 years. Well, that encouraged us then to refinance
Right.
before that thing adjusted. Now, had we known what we know now, then maybe we would have rode that out because rates fell a little bit or whatever. But we did refinance. So our intent and the guidance from our lender was, hey, at about 2.5 years, let's take a look at refinancing this. Or if rates really get substantially better, I'll call you and say, hey, rates are substantially better. Let's take a look at refinancing this.
Right.
So we did at 2.5 years. We took a look, and then we refinanced into a 30-year fixed loan.
Perfect.
Okay,
That's the way to do it.
And at that time, from where we were, from our adjustable rate, from not having really good credit, it allowed us 2.5 years to clean up our credit, make good on-time payments,
Right.
and have the ability to get a better rate. Now, here's the funny thing. In 2006, when we did this, it was a 6% interest rate.
But which was better.
It was better,
right?
And our payment was very comfortable.
That's great.
So it was a wonderful thing for us.
Absolutely.
And we held on to that until we sold the house just this past year, right in this time.
Right. That's something, right? Yeah.
So it's an adjustable rate mortgage you don't have to be scared of because it's not every month it's going to change.
Right.
Could be every 6 months, or it could be every 3, depending on what contract you have. Right now, a lot of the most popular ones are going to be 7/6 arms, 5/1 arms, 3/1 arms.
Yep.
I know of a community bank that has a 10/1 arm.
Right. So
and that is a great product because cyclically, right, in our business, in the real estate business, our cycles you tend to be that 10 to 12 years. Everything rolls around. Now, will we ever see rates down in 1 or 2 again? Well,
it's a tough one.
Chances are no, but chances are we've said that in the past too.
Right. That's right. Yeah. This is true.
Right. I remember, in 06, 07, we were saying the same thing. Like, man, we'll never see rates hit 5 again.
Right. Yeah. These are historically low.
Historically low. They were at the time.
Absolutely.
And that's why we took advantage of it. So the bottom was 5. We got a 6. We were tickled pink. Like, woohoo! We're right there.
That's right.
Now, we took advantage of the low rates in the last year when we bought our house from, you helped us buy our house.
Yeah.
And I look at it today and say, I'm blessed because we moved when, everything fell in line when it did, because today I wouldn't be able to afford that house.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, at 7%, it's it's a huge
Yeah.
payment difference from 3% to 7% is huge.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, I guess it depends on the interest rate and everything else, but for every percent it goes up, that chops your buying power significantly.
Yeah.
Significantly.
But I'm not, you also when you're working with a lender and a realtor, you want to make sure that they understand and they're able to guide you and answer the questions that you have, and let you know that, hey, here's the truth. The truth is you're going to be locked in for 10 years. That's a good thing.
Yep.
Now you can at any time refinance. There's no prepayment penalty or anything like that.
Right.
But if you decide to have this on that 11th year, it could adjust once, and your maximum could be, I'll use 5 again. It could be 5.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of nice.
Right. And so some of them will have like a 5-2-5.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what that means is the max could be 5. Okay. Which means that the first time it adjusts, it could adjust 5.
Right. That's a big number.
Yeah. And the 2 is it could do that twice.
Right.
Okay? And the last 5 is that's your cap raise.
Is 5.
Is 5. That's
good.
Right.
That's good.
So
you got to lock it somewhere, right?
Right. So what it says is, hey, if you're at that 7 and it jumps 5, that's the max it could. So even if it went up 6 points, so it's at 13%.
Right.
You can only move 5.
Right.
Okay?
Absolutely.
The 2 means you've used 1.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
And if it went up again, you could move 5 again.
Right. So you could wind up with, if you're at 7%,
right.
Ultimately you could wind up with 17%.
Right. But then there's that max, that the max it could ever move is 5.
Right.
So it can't move 6.
Right. Which is good.
Yeah.
Got to have some caps. And that's the thing is the adjustable rate arms or adjustable rate mortgages that they do have caps built in.
Yeah.
So it's not like, okay, we're at 2%, you bought it, whatever, and you're going to go up to 20% or 18%. There's caps built in there and times in which they can adjust. So
now, financially speaking, when you take a look at an adjustable rate mortgage, yes, you do. You get into the house that your dream home or your forever home or your first home, whatever. But during that first period, so the 5 years that it's locked or the 10 years that it's locked, financially you're building your equity.
Right.
Okay. So that when you go to refinance, you're in a better position. Okay. So let's say that you have a 5-1 arm and you only put 5% down on the house.
Right.
Okay. And so you have 5 years that it's locked in. At that 4.5 year, you now have 4.5 years of equity build.
Right.
Into that house, which could move you to that 80% or better.
All right.
You may have done some work. I don't know, whatever has happened.
Sure.
Housing rates seem to be staying steady.
Sure.
Right.
Yep. They do.
So you're actually in a better position than you were, which now gives you a better rate as well.
Absolutely. And if you're buying your rate down, it gives you that extra cash to put towards the principal.
Yes.
Put extra money towards that. So when you do hit that, like you're saying, the 5 or 7 year, 10-year mark, and you have that 20%, then what happens?
Yeah, there goes PMI. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You're going to lower your payment every month.
Yep, absolutely.
I mean, there's so many benefits to that. Which is wonderful. And then so you have to kind of look at it as not a Band-Aid, but you know what? Hey, this gives me an opportunity to get the best rate that I can today.
Right.
Because generally speaking, adjustable rate mortgage rates are lower than fixed
prime,
rates right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So is a 3, 5, 7, 10, is there an advantage of taking one over the other than the shorter time span till changes occur? Are there lower rates if I go a 10-year? Is there lower rates if I go a 3-year?
No,
they're all similar.
yeah,
Similar
they're right in there. It's and again, it depends which index they're rolling off of, what their margin is,
Right.
how they position it. If you're looking at adjustable rate mortgages, it's wise to ask your lender, okay, well, what are what is somebody else's? Let's take a look at other ones,
Right.
right? Because financially speaking, um, you may have a large corporation, mortgage bank, who are able to have a little better margin or spread for them to make money than a smaller bank, perhaps.
Sure.
So their 5-1 arm might be a much better rate than
Mhm.
a small bank's 10-1 arm.
Right. Now, so we talked about early on in the show, we started talking about buy downs.
Yeah.
Now, an adjustable rate mortgage, can you still buy it down
That's a good question.
in addition to getting that lower rate? So that would be kind of a trick, right? It'd be
Yeah, I
tricky.
think that would be a trick. And that I don't know. I haven't run into that or
Right.
that question until
That's
you
what
just said it now. So
Yeah.
I can do some research and
Absolutely.
put it out there on our comments, or we I fill in next week and say, hey, here's what we're able to do.
Beautiful.
But yeah, I don't.
I would
A
think
lot of times, from what I see, a lot of times the lenders don't offer that buy down on an adjustable rate because you're already getting a better rate.
Right. Yeah. Typically. Yeah.
It's more of the 15 or 20, 30 year fix that you're getting
You
that
buy them down.
buy down.
And buy downs are not bad.
No, they're not. They're not bad, but that really those come into play when it's a buyer's market,
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And right now, because of demand, just because of simple demand, if I go to you because I want to buy your house, and I'm like, hey, I'm a really good guy, but I need you to give me $5,000 for this buy down,
Right.
and the Smith family comes behind me and goes, I don't know, I got an adjustable rate mortgage. You don't have to give me that $8,000.
Right.
And then you go, I think I like the Smiths.
That's right.
Sorry, Jones.
That's
Right?
Yeah, those Smiths, they're okay.
And then when it comes to that negotiation is really you really have to lean on your realtor and their experience and their knowledge and their wisdom.
Yep.
Because as a lender, again, NMLS 1258805, I don't do any negotiating.
Right.
You give me the contract. I don't do anything till I get that contract. So, I can go to you as a borrower, Kevin, and say, listen, Kevin, here we've got this neat product, and it's a 3-2-1 buy down. Here's how it works, but you got to get the seller to give you a credit at closing, a gift at closing, so to speak,
sure,
to buy that rate down. Well, how do I do that? You're really going to have to go through your attorney and your realtor.
Yep.
To get that done.
Negotiate that. Yeah, sure.
I can't.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
So I can just help you understand. So if that's where you have to have a realtor who has a good relationship with your lender, who understands what is going on, what's happening. You're one of those who understand that type of
sure. And
a negotiation, I guess. Yeah.
There's realtors and there's lenders that specialize in different things.
Yeah.
Phil Sweeney, love him to death. He's my VA guy.
VA
Go to him
best
all the time.
In the world.
He's
best in the world. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So he's my VA guy. So you always have lenders and things that work in different products.
Yep.
And they're maybe a little bit better fit. But you let your buyer choose. You give them the options, let them choose their lender. And buying down or 3-1 arms or 5-1 arms and stuff. Talk to your lender to make sure, see what are they looking at in your anniversary, what index, because you want to know. I mean, you want to be paying attention to that a little bit, kind of like, okay, what's my rate going to do? And call your lender a month or two ahead of time or even longer to say, hey, what does the market look like? And you'll see, you look online, you'll see all these great rates. You're like, oh, we're going down, but it may not be the case. So call your lender. Kent Jones is good about picking up his phone and getting you those answers. And if your lender is not answering the phone, then that's a problem.
Yeah, yeah. And and a common practice, a common practice in the lending world is to say, "Hey, Kevin, rates are a little bit high. In 6 months, they're going to be lower, so we'll refinance this in 6 months." If that's the particular reason that you're banking on that rate, I can honestly say, as a lender, we don't know when rates are going to go down.
No.
And for to say, hey, in the spring they're going to go down, and no one knows.
That's
if
exactly
they
right.
knew, they wouldn't be lending. They would be
Stock
forecasting
marketing.
it and stock marketing and living on a beach.
Yep.
But it is a common practice, because what that's saying is, I didn't do a good enough job to help you understand why the rate is what it is.
Right.
And but I still want your business. I need your business, so we'll refinance this in 6 months. Well, guess what happens in 6 months? It doesn't change, and you don't get a call.
Right.
And
Exactly.
now you're stuck
right.
with the rate that maybe might be high or not.
Right. Yeah, that's for sure.
Um,
Yeah, you want to understand the products. You want a lender
Yep.
that can explain the products,
yes.
and you want an agent, a broker that's going to work with you during the buying process. That's going to refer you to people that know what they're doing. So that's how it works. Is kind of teams.
Yeah.
We create your team. Your attorney, your lender, your broker, your home inspector. Everything is encompassed in this home buying experience.
Right.
And it is definitely an experience, either a good one or a bad one, but it's an experience.
Well, I learned a long time ago in this business, if the only thing your lender is doing is selling you rate and a closing date, that's not a real good lender. They don't care too much about you. If your lender asks you financially what it is you're trying to do, and wants to put you in the best product and best position for your family to win financially,
right,
then that's huge.
It is huge.
That's huge.
It is huge.
I pride myself in trying to solve problems. Right. We've had Brian Schmidt in here, who's
Sure.
one of the best that there is. Phil Sweeney has been here as well, and a good lender will really solve problems. How do we make this work financially? What do we have to do financially?
Right.
Does that mean that we're right 100% of the time? Absolutely not.
Nope.
And does that mean that every close goes, like a storybook? No, absolutely not. Because we're human, we make mistakes.
And market changes and shifts and things that there's unexpecteds on occasion. Right. That happens.
So always, if you're out there and you're scared of that adjustable mortgage, you got to be able to tell your lender, I'm a little scared of it, and have a good conversation with them. Not through text, not through email. Make sure that they're picking up the phone, you're picking up the phone, and to fully understand what it is, that you're buying. Many of us have these things called smartphones, and
smarter than me.
I was reading that I think it's in the 80s. 80% of people with smartphones only use 10% of its capability.
I bet that's right.
Right?
Mine uses calls, texts, and Scrabble. If I need anything else, and a calculator.
Right. Which is the truth, and I think of it. Yeah, I've got a calculator in there that I use. But yeah, I look at this, and my kids are able. I'm like, hey, how did you get that screen? What's going on? Oh, come on, Dad. And so when you're looking at a huge monetary investment, you have to understand fully, no more than 10% about what's going on.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. And adjustable rate mortgages are different than variable rates. Variable rates seem a little bit quicker, like a variable rate on your credit card that'll go up and down. Now, keep in mind though, too, Kevin, that there are some products out there, home equity lines of credit, that will go and adjust on a monthly basis, depending on, right? Because they will draw those. The index that they use will be prime rate.
So if you hear the term HELOC,
yeah,
you hear lenders use that and stuff, and the agents. And sometimes we don't forget to break it down a little bit better.
Yeah.
And we say, well, the HELOC would get you anywhere you need to be. It's a home equity line of credit.
Correct.
And those, like you said, can be variable based on what you take out at any given moment. Is that right?
So it's going to work like a revolving line of credit. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
So like a credit card. And if prime goes up 0.75 point, well, so is your rate.
Yep, absolutely.
And again, that's why it's important to understand what index are we going off of.
Right.
Where are we looking?
Right.
Are we using Treasury? Are we using SOFR? Or, what's happening? Are we using a daily? Are we using daily? Are we using weekly, monthly index? Right. What is it exactly?
Plus, it's the length of time you're going to have it out. What are you using it for? Right. So some people will take a home equity line of credit, the cash out of their homes, buy another house, sell their house, pay that loan off. So there's options there too, depending on the equity in your home. If you're downsizing, upsizing, what you're going to do with the value and the equity you have in your home.
Yeah.
You can benefit that to your purchase power. You can make your purchase power better and get your contract accepted, because a lot of people don't want to see these home sale contingencies still.
Right.
They're starting to come back in, but the market prices are adjusting a little bit here, and but prices are still strong, and a lot of buyers out there still looking, and they just can't find anything out there. The inventory is still record low.
Yeah, and things that I've been reading is who was it? Dave
Ramsey? Dave Ramsey?
No, Clark.
Dave Clark. Yep, Dave Clark.
Who said that the NAR is forecasting a 30% decrease in sales year over year in 2023.
Yeah. So and we're anticipating about 7 to 10% of realtors exiting the market.
Yeah.
So so there's definitely some adjustments going to be happening over a period of time here. And so we're starting to go into a normal market, if there is such a thing.
Right.
Where interest rates are between that 6 and 8%.
Yep.
House prices are coming down a little bit to be stable, and buyers and sellers will have that benefit.
Yeah.
Some buyers will get a deal, and some sellers will get a deal, but hopefully we're not swayed too much either way. Although the buyers do deserve a little bit of a buyer's market at this point.
Right. Right.
So if you haven't bought yet, hopefully good things are in your future.
Yeah.
And think about these buy downs like you were talking about, and look at these adjustable rate mortgages, and talk to a guy like Kent that knows how to explain the mortgage, how it works, and how it impacts you and your future. Because a 10-year lock, it's a long time.
Yeah. So if you take a look at my LinkedIn, profile, I have on there, I'm a sleep expert.
That's right.
And people always ask me what that means, and what it means is I help people sleep better at night, because I help them really be comfortable with their decision, with their biggest financial decision in a mortgage, so that they can go to bed at night knowing, all right, we did the right thing, and this is how it works, and we're good there. Now, a good mortgage lender, like a good realtor, like a good accountant, is going to keep in touch with you. It's not going to be one and done, and we're never going to talk again.
Right.
I'm going to reach out to you and see how things are going. I'm going to, we've created a relationship, but again, if you have questions, or they don't ever reach out to you except to send you junk mail or junk email, well, then that's an interesting concept too. So, I ought to know when your daughter's getting married, or when your anniversary is, or and just keep in touch, because when things shift and the world gets crazy, you then start going, oh boy.
Yeah, right. And that's it. And you have to have a good understanding, and that's really the key. Yeah. And you should have a relationship that's strong enough that you're not afraid to pick up the phone at any given minute and say, hey, Kent, hey, Kevin, what's going on? What is this? This attorney sent this email. What does it mean? Right. Maybe we might refer you right back to the attorney, but we're going to get you to the right place and get you the answers you need.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah. But they're not. It's not scary. It is scary for a lot of people, because if you're selling a home, you've been in a really nice. You've been in a really nice how do I want to say this, place over the last several years with maybe a nice fixed rate.
Right.
And now you're selling your house because you're upsizing or downsizing, or you're moving because your job has asked you to move. And now you're hearing about adjustable rates that we haven't heard since maybe 2003, 4, and 5.
Right. Absolutely.
And so you may never have had to deal with an adjustable rate mortgage. Yeah. All you know is, hey, in 2012, I got this 5% rate, and that's wonderful. And I've been in that 5% rate now for 10 years. Now I have to move, and oh my gosh, now instead of a 5% rate, I'm looking at 7.5. And what is this? Oh boy, adjustable rates are scaring me.
Yeah. Well, in 2003, 4, 5, people saw that people were in adjustable rate mortgages. The mortgage crashed. People lost their homes. So there's a little bit of that uncertainty. Were ARMs the problem, or was it the market and how the banks were using how people were getting loans that weren't supposed to have loans?
That's right.
That's basically it.
Yeah, and we learned. And the wonderful thing is, as a nation, we've learned from that. So we've got new regulations, new compliance. We've got new laws to protect the consumer.
Amen. That's for sure.
It does make my job more difficult.
Right. Yes.
because we got to make sure we jump through every hoop and stay compliant. That's nothing that you need to share with the end user, but trust me, the things that we go through, the quality control that we have, every lender, not just not just MSB, but the slew of papers now that you sign as a consumer to say, okay, yes, we've done all those things. That we've really put great laws to protect the buyers.
And they put like appraisers, they're holding them more accountable as well.
Oh yeah,
because there was a point in time where, and again, I'm sure it was rare,
Wild West,
where they would be drive by like, house is standing, check, yep, get your loan.
Looks good.
Yeah, it looks good for my house. Anyway, but yeah. And they're not doing the fog and mirror test, putting the mirror under your nose, see if you're still breathing. So
if you if you're buying a house, if you bought a house in the last 3 weeks, and you don't live in the UP or Wisconsin, and the pictures on your appraisal come back with snow on them, well,
that's a problem.
You might want to ask how recent was this?
Yeah, right. Yeah, oh my gosh. That's it. I'll tell you, it's going to be a great market. I think we got great things coming up. Look at all your options. Look at adjustable rate mortgages. If you don't understand them, reach out to us. We'll explain them better. We're always here for you, as well as if you need tip sheets on different loan products, we can send those out as well. So feel free to reach out to either Kent or myself. 708-277-3913. Kevin Callback, Realty Executives Cornerstone, or Kent Jones, McHenry Savings Bank.
815-331-6431.
NMLS number
125-8805.
Love it, brother. Happy Freedom Friday, baby.
It is. It's awesome. We've gone over because we're just talking away.
Yeah, man, that's it. Crazy.
I'm looking at that going, oh man, we went over, but great conversation. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stick around. More to come on Friday.
Amen.